Dad slid the envelope across the desk. Slowly. Like it weighed more than it should. My brother Marcus grinned as he reached out and took it. The room was quiet except for the sound of paper scraping against mahogany. "You've earned this, son," Dad said. "You're the responsible one. She'll just waste it." I was still standing near the door. Nobody had asked me to sit. Marcus tucked the envelope into his jacket pocket without looking at me. That envelope held everything. Grandma Helen's estate. The lake house. The trust fund. All of it, apparently, was now his. I opened my mouth to speak, but Dad raised his hand. Dismissive. Tired. Like I was a barking dog interrupting the adults. "Don't make this about you, Tess," he said. I looked at Marcus, who wouldn't meet my eyes. He just adjusted his watch. The expensive one I'd saved 6 months to buy him for his 30th birthday. Working 2 jobs while he partied through business school. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't family here. I was staff. Convenient when needed. Ignored otherwise. I turned and walked out of that office. Nobody called after me. My name is Tess Quaid. I'm a white woman from Ohio who used to think being useful was the same as being valued. I learned to pass the salt, pass the time, pass over problems so the men could speak. Today, they took the lake house, the trust, and the business my grandfather built. They took my share and called it family. I sat in my car in the parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The inheritance wasn't just money. It was Grandma Helen's promise. The cottage where she taught me to paint. The land where we walked every summer, picking wildflowers and talking about dreams. She told me in the hospital, 3 weeks before she died. "Half of everything goes to you, Tessa. Don't let them tell you otherwise." But when the papers came, only one name appeared. Marcus. She changed her mind, Dad had said that morning. Before she died. She didn't. I knew she didn't. But apparently, knowing the truth and proving it were 2 different things. I'd graduated top of my class. Worked through college. Never asked for help. But I studied design, not business. I didn't marry young. I didn't perform gratitude. So I was irresponsible. A waste. Unworthy. Growing up, I did everything right until I didn't. I didn't major in accounting like Dad wanted. I didn't marry the lawyer he introduced me to. I didn't call home every Sunday with updates about my respectable life. Marcus did all those things. That made him stable. Reliable. The responsible one. I was difficult. What they called rebellion was really just survival. In our house, obedience was the only currency that mattered. If you didn't follow the script, you didn't exist. "You always take things so personally," Mom would say when I questioned anything. "If you were more like your brother," Dad would add. "We just worry about you," they'd both chorus, like concern was love and not control. Guilt was their favorite language. They used worry like a leash. If I pushed back, I was angry. If I stayed quiet, I was cold. There was no right answer. Just different levels of punishment. So I learned to be small. To bend. To disappear into the background while Marcus shined. But small only works until it doesn't. Until one day you realize you've spent so much time making yourself smaller that there's almost nothing left. The drive home was a blur. I kept replaying Dad's words. Waste it. Like I was some reckless child who couldn't be trusted with $1. I pulled into my apartment complex and sat there for 20 minutes. The anger hadn't come yet. Just this cold, clear understanding. They'd made their choice. Now I'd make mine. For 3 weeks, my phone stayed silent. Then Marcus tried reaching out. "Hey Tess, just checking in. Dad's asking about you." I stared at the message for a full minute before deleting it. No reply. Nothing to say. Another week passed. Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. Sweetheart, we haven't heard from you. Are you upset about the inheritance? Your father thought it was best. Marcus has a family to think about. Responsibilities. You understand, don't you? I saved the voicemail. Not to listen to again, but to remember. To remember how easily they justified it. How they rewrote the story to make themselves heroes. My best friend Anna noticed immediately. You're different, she said over coffee. Quieter. I stirred my drink slowly. I'm just thinking. About what? Building something they can't take away. She studied my face, then nodded. Anna understood that some decisions get made in silence. I'd been working at a small design firm downtown. Good job, decent pay, but no real future. The owner was retiring, and his kids had no interest in running it. One night I stayed late, going through old client files in the storage room. That's when I found it. A contact list from 5 years ago. Names I recognized. Companies that had used our services once and never came back. Not because we did bad work. Because nobody had followed up. Nobody had built relationships. Nobody had tried. I spent the next 2 weeks calling every single name on that list. Most didn't remember us. Some hung up. But 3 people listened. One of them was Vincent Torres, a property developer who'd used us for a single hotel renovation back in 2015. I liked your firm's work, he said. But you disappeared after the project ended. Never heard from you again. I know, I replied. That won't happen this time. 2 weeks later, he hired me. Not the firm. Me. Personally. For a complete brand redesign of his company. I gave my notice the next day. Going freelance was terrifying. No steady paycheck. No benefits. No safety net. But I was running on something stronger than fear. I was running on proof. Proof that Dad was wrong. Vincent's project led to another. Then another. I worked 16-hour days. Lived on instant noodles and coffee. Skipped every social event. Anna worried. You're going to burn out, Tess. Not yet, I said. I'm just getting started. 6 months in, I had 8 clients. Small businesses mostly. Local restaurants. A boutique hotel. A startup tech company. Nothing glamorous. But they paid on time, and they referred me to others. A year later, I had 20 clients. I wasn't rich. But I was building something real. Something mine. Something they couldn't dismiss or take away. Marcus called me once during this time. Dad says you quit your job. Are you okay? I almost laughed. Now they cared. Now they checked in. I'm better than okay, I told him. I'm busy. Doing what? Building a table you're not sitting at. I hung up before he could respond. That felt good. Really good. By year 2, I'd saved enough to rent a small office space. 2 rooms and a bathroom. Nothing fancy. But it had my name on the door. Tess Quaid Design Consultancy. My name. My business. My rules. I hired an assistant. A recent graduate named Piper who reminded me of myself 5 years ago. Hungry. Focused. Underestimated by everyone who'd interviewed her before me. Why'd you hire me? She asked on her first day. Everyone else wanted someone with experience. Because everyone else is looking for a copy of what already exists, I said. I'm looking for someone who wants to build something new. She smiled at that. A real smile. We worked well together. I taught her everything I'd learned. Client management. design thinking. How to read between the lines of what people said they wanted and what they actually needed. She taught me to delegate, to trust, to stop trying to do everything myself. The business grew. Meanwhile, I watched from a distance as Marcus struggled. Dad had handed him the family real estate company 2 years ago. Big office downtown. Established client list. Solid reputation built over 3 decades. Everything ready-made. But Marcus didn't know how to run it. He knew how to look good in meetings. How to shake hands and repeat what Dad had taught him. He didn't know how to adapt. How to innovate. How to survive in a changing market. And the market was changing. Fast. One afternoon, Piper walked into my office holding her tablet. Her face was strange. Excited but careful. "You need to see this," she said. She turned the screen toward me. It was a business news article from that morning. Local real estate firm loses major contract to competitor. The firm was Quaid Properties. My family's company. The one Marcus now ran. They'd lost their biggest client. A hotel chain that had been with them for 15 years. Who'd they lose it to? I asked, though something in my chest already knew the answer. Berkshire Development Group, Piper said. The article says the client wanted fresh perspective and modern analytics. I nodded slowly. Berkshire. I knew them. I'd done consulting work for them 8 months ago. Redesigned their pitch materials. Their client presentations. Their entire brand strategy. They'd loved my work. Asked if I'd consider taking on more. "You okay?" Piper asked, watching my face. "Yeah," I said, turning back to my computer. "I'm perfect." That night, I pulled up Marcus's company website. It looked exactly the same as it had 5 years ago. Same design. Same messaging. Same outdated approach. He was running Dad's company exactly how Dad had run it. In a world that had moved on. 3 months later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Tess Quaid speaking. "Tess. It's Marcus." Silence. I waited. Let him fill it. "I heard you're doing consulting now. Design and strategy work." "I am. Would you be willing to meet? I'd like to talk about possibly using your services." I smiled at the wall of my office. The wall with my business license framed on it. "Are you calling as my brother or as a potential client?" He hesitated. I could hear him breathing. "As a client. Then yes. My assistant will send you our rates and availability." "Our rates? I'm not a one-woman operation anymore, Marcus. I have a team." I heard him exhale. "That's great, Tess. Really great. Piper will be in touch." I hung up. Then I sat back in my chair and laughed. Not cruelly. Just amazed. He'd actually called. Actually asked for help. The responsible one needed the waste of space. Piper knocked and poked her head in. "Everything all right?" I heard laughing. "Schedule a consultation with Marcus Quaid for next week," I said. "Standard rates. No family discount." Her eyes widened. "Your brother." "My client," I corrected. She grinned. "This is going to be interesting." Marcus showed up Tuesday morning wearing a suit that probably cost more than my first car. But he looked tired. Older than 34 should look. I met him in our conference room. Professional. Detached. Piper sat beside me with her notepad. "Thanks for seeing me," Marcus said, settling into his chair. "Of course. So tell me, what brings you here today?" He shifted uncomfortably. "The company's struggling. We've lost 3 major clients in 6 months. I need help figuring out why and how to turn it around." I took notes. Have you updated your branding recently? No. Dad always said if it's not broken, don't fix it. And your client outreach strategy? We rely mostly on referrals and reputation. I see. I glanced at Piper. What do you think? She looked at Marcus directly. Respectfully, Mr. Quaid, relying on old reputation in a changing market is like driving a car on fumes. Eventually, you stop moving. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he nodded. I laid out a proposal. Complete brand refresh. New client acquisition strategy. Updated market positioning. Modern analytics integration. It would take 6 months and cost more than he probably wanted to spend. He looked at the numbers. Went pale. This is steep. Quality costs, I said simply. He met my eyes. Will it work? If you actually implement what we recommend? Yes. He signed the contract that afternoon. Working with Marcus was strange. Not hostile. Just detached. I treated him exactly like any other client. Professional emails. Scheduled meetings. Clear boundaries. He seemed confused by it at first. Like he expected me to bring up the past. To be angry. To make it personal. I didn't. This was business. Piper led most of the day-to-day work. She was brilliant at it. I oversaw strategy and held the final approval on everything. We rebuilt their website. Redesigned their pitch materials. Trained their staff on modern client relations. Marcus attended every meeting. Took notes. Asked intelligent questions. He was trying. I'd give him that. But trying wasn't the same as succeeding. 2 months into the project, we had our biggest confrontation. Marcus wanted to keep their old tagline. The one Dad had written 30 years ago. It's part of our legacy, he argued during a meeting. Legacy doesn't pay bills, I replied calmly. Your clients don't care about your history. They care about their future. About what you can do for them now. You sound just like... He stopped. Looked away. Like what? I asked quietly. He shook his head. Nothing. Never mind. But I knew what he'd almost said. Like someone who doesn't respect family. Like someone who only cares about money. I let it go. We changed the tagline. Dad called me for the first time in 2 years. I was in my office, reviewing contracts, when his name appeared on my screen. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello, Tess. His voice was gruff. Familiar in a way that made my chest tight. It's your father. I know. I heard you're working with Marcus. Consulting for the company. That's correct. He says you're doing good work. I waited. There had to be more. There always was with Dad. I wanted to thank you, he continued, for helping him out. Family should support family. My grip on the phone tightened. I'm not doing this as family, Dad. I'm doing it as a business owner. Marcus is paying me market rate for professional services. Still. It's good of you. Is there something else you need? Silence. Then, your mother wants to see you. Maybe you could come for dinner this weekend. I'm busy. Tess, I have client meetings all weekend. Maybe another time. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. Piper appeared in the doorway 30 seconds later. You okay? Yeah, I said, forcing my hands to relax. Just setting boundaries. She smiled. Proud. Good. Those people need them. I nodded. She was right. They did. Marcus's company started recovering. Slowly. They landed 2 new clients using our strategies. Both smaller accounts, but it was progress. The local business journal noticed. Ran a piece titled, "Quaid Properties Make Strategic Comeback." Marcus was quoted throughout, thanking his excellent consulting team for their insights. He didn't mention me by name. I didn't care. The clients who mattered knew. My phone started ringing more after that article. Companies wanting what Marcus got. Turnarounds. Fresh thinking. Proof that old businesses could adapt. I hired 2 more people. A graphic designer and a data analyst. Rented a bigger office across town. Piper became my partner, officially. She handled operations while I focused on strategy and new business development. We were growing faster than I'd planned. One evening, Marcus asked to meet for coffee. Off the clock, he said. Personal. I almost said no. But curiosity won. We met at a quiet place downtown. He looked nervous. Kept stirring his drink without drinking it. I owe you an apology, he finally said. I raised an eyebrow. For what specifically? For not standing up for you. With Dad. With the inheritance. I knew it was wrong. But you took it anyway. He nodded, looking at his coffee. I did. Why? Because it was easier. Marcus continued, his voice quiet. Because fighting Dad meant losing everything. The company. The house. His approval. And I was scared. Scared of being cut off. Of having to actually prove myself. I studied his face. He meant it. This wasn't manipulation. This was genuine guilt. Okay, I said. Okay. He looked confused. That's it. I accept your apology. But it doesn't change anything. What do you mean? I mean you're still a client. I'm still the person you underestimated. That reality doesn't disappear because you feel guilty now. He flinched. I never underestimated you. Yes, you did. You sat there and let Dad call me irresponsible. Let him give you everything while I got nothing. You didn't question it. Didn't fight it. Because deep down, you agreed with him. That's not fair. Fair. I almost laughed. You want to talk about fair? He went quiet. Nodded slowly. You're right. I'm sorry. I know. I stood up, gathering my things. Your next payment is due Friday. Don't be late. I left him sitting there, alone with his coffee and his guilt. 6 months after signing Marcus as a client, I got a call that changed everything. It was the hospital. Dad had a stroke. Moderate severity. He'd survive, but he needed care. Physical therapy. Monitoring. Expensive care. Mom called me an hour after the hospital did. She was crying. Tess, please. We need help. The medical bills are already piling up, and insurance won't cover everything. Where's Marcus? He's here at the hospital, but his company's still recovering. He can't cover all of this. Not alone. I closed my eyes. Took a deep breath. This was the moment. The chance to walk away. To let them figure it out themselves. I'll handle it, I heard myself say. You will. Mom's voice broke with relief. Send me the hospital information. I'll set up direct payment. Thank you. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I arranged everything through a medical billing company. Every invoice came to me first. I approved payments, tracked expenses, made sure Dad got excellent care, the best physical therapists, the best equipment, everything he needed. But I made sure everyone knew who was paying. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. Marcus called me a week later. You didn't have to do this. I know. Then why did you? Because he's still a human being who needs help, I said. That doesn't mean I've forgiven him. It just means I'm not him. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I couldn't have afforded this. Not all of it. I know that too. The power had shifted. Completely. And everyone felt it. Dad recovered slowly over 3 months. Physical therapy 3 times a week. Speech therapy twice. Occupational therapy. I visited him twice during that time. Both visits were brief. Polite. Distant. He looked smaller in that hospital bed. Older. Breakable. The man who dismissed me so easily now needed my money to survive. He knew it. I could see it in his eyes every time a nurse came in to check on him. "Thank you for this," he said during my second visit. "You're welcome. I wasn't fair to you. With the inheritance." I looked at him evenly. "No, you weren't. I thought I was protecting Marcus. Giving him stability. You were playing favorites," I corrected. "And you taught me that love in this family is conditional. Based on obedience." He flinched. "That's not. It is. But it's okay. Because I learned the lesson. I learned that I can't rely on you. That I have to build my own security. My own future." I stood to leave. "Get well, Dad." I didn't visit again. Marcus kept me updated on his progress. I kept paying the bills. Every invoice. Every copay. Everything. Mom sent thank you cards monthly. I collected them in a drawer, unread. My company kept growing. We landed a major contract with a national retail chain. Our biggest deal yet. The press coverage was significant. Forbes ran a profile. From overlooked to overbooked. How Tess Quaid built an empire. 1 year later, Marcus's company hit trouble again. Not bad management this time. Bad luck. A major commercial project fell through at the last minute. Their primary investor pulled out unexpectedly. Suddenly, they were hemorrhaging money. Marcus called me on a Friday afternoon. His voice was shaking. "Tess, I need to talk to you. It's urgent." "I'm listening." "The company's in real trouble. We might not make payroll next month. I've tried everything. Cut expenses. Reached out to every contact I have. Nothing's working. What do you need?" "I need a loan. Or an investment. Or..." He trailed off. Couldn't say it. I leaned back in my chair. Waited. "Or a job," I finally said. Silence. Heavy and long. "Marcus, would you hire me?" he asked quietly. If I asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. This was the moment. The revenge every underdog dreams about. The brother who took everything, now begging for scraps. But revenge felt empty when I actually held it. "Yes," I finally said. "But not out of pity. You'd work for it. Same expectations as everyone else on my team." "I understand. Send me your resume. We'll set up a formal interview." "Tess, thank you. This is business, Marcus. If you want family sentiment, call Mom." He sent his resume that night. I interviewed Marcus in my office 3 days later. Piper sat in, along with James, our new operations manager. We asked standard interview questions. Strengths. Weaknesses. Why he wanted to work here. Marcus answered carefully. Professionally. He knew he was being tested. "Why should we hire you?" James asked. Marcus looked at me, then back at James. "Because I've failed. And I've learned from it. I know what doesn't work now. I know what happens when you rest on reputation instead of results." "And what does work?" Piper asked. "Humility. Listening to people who know more than you. Adapting when the market changes. Being willing to admit you were wrong. He paused. Things I didn't value before. I made notes. You'd be coming in as a senior analyst, not management. You'd report directly to Piper. I understand. The salary is 60% of what you were making as CEO. His jaw tightened. I saw him swallow hard. But he nodded. When can I start? We'll let you know within 48 hours. After he left, James whistled low. That was cold. That was fair, I corrected. He gets no special treatment here. No shortcuts because of his last name. Piper looked thoughtful. Are you hiring him to prove a point? I'm hiring him because he's qualified and we need someone with his skill set. The point proves itself. We offered him the position. He accepted immediately. Marcus started the following Monday. I watched him walk into our office building carrying a simple briefcase, wearing a less expensive suit than before. He looked nervous. Good. He should be. Piper trained him personally. She was kind but firm. Explained our systems, our standards, our culture. Marcus listened, took notes, asked intelligent questions. He was trying, really trying. His first project was analyzing market data for a potential client pitch. Detailed work. Important but not glamorous. He spent 2 weeks on it, then presented his findings to our team. It was good work. Thorough. Professional. Well-researched. Nice job, I said when he finished. He looked genuinely pleased. Thank you. Next time, include competitive analysis in Section 3. We need to know not just what the market looks like, but who else is trying to capture it and how we differentiate. His smile faded slightly. Right. I'll remember that. This was the new dynamic. He did good work. I expected better. Not because I was cruel. Because I knew what he was capable of when he actually tried. When he stopped coasting on Dad's name and reputation. Slowly, over months, I watched him change. Less arrogant. More collaborative. He started staying late, not to impress me, but because he actually cared about the work. It was strange, seeing him become the person he should have been all along. 6 months into Marcus working for me, Dad called again. His voice was stronger now. Recovery nearly complete. I heard Marcus is working for you. He is. How's that going? He's a good employee. Learns quickly. Pulls his weight. Shows up on time. Must be strange. Your older brother working under you. I smiled at my reflection in the office window. Not really. Hierarchy isn't about age, Dad. It's about capability. About who built what. Dad was quiet. Then, I was wrong about you, Tess. I know. I mean it. I underestimated you. Thought you needed protecting. Guidance. Thought Marcus was the safer bet. He was the easier bet, I corrected. I required faith. Marcus just required control. You're better at control than faith. I'm sorry. Those words. The ones I'd wanted for years. Now they just felt empty. Insufficient. Okay, I said. Is that all you have to say? What else is there? You made your choices. I made mine. We're all living with the results now. I'd like to see you. Really talk. Face to face. Maybe, I said. When I'm ready. I wasn't ready yet. Maybe I never would be. But that was okay. I didn't need his approval anymore. I had something better. I had my own. The company Marcus had run collapsed completely 6 months later. Dad tried to save it. Poured his retirement funds into keeping it afloat. But the damage was too deep. Mismanagement. Bad investments. Outdated practices that couldn't compete. They filed for bankruptcy. The family business, 3 generations old, dissolved. Gone. Mom called me, crying. Dad was devastated. His legacy, everything Grandpa had built, was finished. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not sadness. Just acknowledgement. They'd bet everything on the wrong horse. And the horse had stumbled. Can you help? Mom asked through tears. Help how? I don't know. Maybe buy the company. Revive it somehow. I considered it. Briefly. No. Tess, please. Mom, that company failed because of the culture Dad built. Control over collaboration. Image over innovation. Loyalty over competence. I'm not resurrecting that. So you'll just let it die? I'm letting natural consequences happen. That's not cruelty. That's reality. She hung up, hurt and angry. I felt guilty for about an hour. Then I went back to work. Marcus heard the news at the office. I saw him sitting at his desk, staring at his computer screen, not working. I knocked on his cubicle wall. You okay? He looked up. Eyes red. Dad's company is gone. Everything Grandpa built. Just gone. I heard. Feels like the end of something. It is, I said. That's not always bad. He nodded slowly. I know. A year later, Dad lost the family house. The one I grew up in. The one with the tire swing in the backyard and the kitchen where Mom taught me to bake. He couldn't maintain it anymore. Medical bills. Failed business. Depleted retirement funds. It went to auction. I saw the listing online. 4 bedrooms. 3 baths. Half an acre. Beautiful property filled with memories, both good and terrible. I bought it. Not to live in. As an investment. When Dad found out, he called immediately. Voice shaking with rage. You bought our house? I bought a property at auction, yes. That's our home, Tess. It was your home. Now it's my asset. His voice cracked. Why would you do this to us? Because it's a good investment in an appreciating neighborhood. Because I could afford it. Because I wanted to. This is revenge. No, Dad. Revenge would be letting you become homeless. I'm offering to rent you the guest house. Month-to-month lease. Market rate. You want us to rent from you? I want you to understand that nothing is guaranteed. Not inheritance. Not houses. Not unconditional love. Everything has to be earned and maintained. He hung up. Mom called an hour later. How could you do this? Humiliate your father like this? I laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, I'm offering him housing. Below market rate, actually. That's not humiliation. That's mercy. They declined. Moved into a small condo instead. Pride mattered more than practicality. My company hit 10 million in revenue the following year. We celebrated with the whole team. Piper gave a speech thanking everyone for their hard work. Marcus stood in the back, clapping, smiling genuinely. He'd been with us 2 years now. Grown into a valuable team member. Reliable. Humble. Hard-working. After the party, he approached me. Can we talk privately? Sure. We went to my office. He sat across from me, looking nervous again. I'm thinking about moving on. My stomach dropped, though I kept my face neutral. Okay. Where to? Starting my own thing. Small consulting firm focused on helping family businesses transition leadership. I think I have something valuable to offer there. Hard-won wisdom. I smiled. You do. I wanted to tell you first. And to thank you. For what? For hiring me when you didn't have to. For pushing me to be better. For showing me what real success looks like. I studied him. My brother. So different from the man who'd taken that envelope 4 years ago. You earned it, Marcus. The job. The growth. All of it. Will you write me a recommendation? Already drafted, I said, pulling it from my desk drawer. I knew you'd leave eventually. Good people always outgrow their roles. He read it, eyes getting wet. This is generous. It's honest. We shook hands. He left 2 weeks later. Started his own firm. Did well. We stayed in touch. Professional respect. Occasional coffee. Not quite family. But not enemies. Something new. Something honest. 5 years after Dad handed Marcus that envelope, I stood in front of 200 people at a business conference in Chicago. The topic was building success from rejection. I told my story. Not for revenge. Not for pity. But because it mattered. Because someone in that audience needed to hear it. They told me I was irresponsible, I said into the microphone. That I'd waste whatever they gave me. So they gave me nothing. And you know what? They were right. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. I smiled. I did waste something. I wasted years trying to prove myself to people who'd already decided I wasn't enough. I wasted energy on anger. I wasted time on resentment. I paused. But then I stopped wasting. I started building. And I built something they never could have imagined. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted truth. Truth about my capabilities. Truth about my worth. Truth that existed whether they acknowledged it or not. The applause was thunderous. Sustained. People stood. Afterwards, a young woman approached me. She looked like I had years ago. Uncertain. Hurt. Determined. My family doesn't believe in me either, she said. What should I do? Stop asking for their permission, I replied. And start giving yourself approval. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you. That moment mattered more than any revenue milestone. Dad reached out one final time. He was 70 now. Mom had passed the year before. Cancer, quick and cruel. I'd paid for her care. Visited weekly toward the end. We'd made peace, in our way. He asked to meet for lunch. I agreed. We sat in a quiet restaurant, both ordering coffee we barely touched. I've been thinking, he started, about what I cost you. Dad, let me finish. He looked older. Tired. Mortal. I took something from you. Not just money. Trust. Belief. The knowledge that you were valued. I stayed quiet. I told myself I was being practical. That Marcus needed help and you'd be fine on your own. But the truth is, I was scared. Of what? Of you. Of how different you were. How independent. I couldn't control you like I controlled him. So I decided you were the problem. He met my eyes. You were never the problem, Tess. You were the one who got away. And I resented you for it. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But understanding. Thank you for saying that. Does it help? A little. We finished our coffee. Talked about small things. Weather. His garden. My company. When we parted, he hugged me. Briefly. Carefully. I'm proud of you, he whispered. I let myself hear it. Finally. Today, I run a company worth $40 million. We employ 200 people across 6 offices. I'm telling you this not to brag, but because it started with an envelope I never received. They can take your inheritance. They can doubt your path, but they cannot take your capability, your drive, your refusal to accept their version of your story. I built my table, set my own standards. Their wrong choice about you doesn't make you wrong. It makes them blind. So stop proving yourself to people who've decided not to see you. And start building something so undeniable they can't help but look. Not for revenge. For yourself. You were never the waste. You were always the investment. I'm not angry anymore. Just grateful. Because without their betrayal, I would have never built this. I don't seek revenge. I embody it. And if you take nothing else from my story, take this. They can take your place at the table. Just build a better table.